Coming up on We Talk News this week, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin becomes cannabis public enemy number one after vetoing a bipartisan legal sales bill handed to him by his legislature. And Utah Senator Mitt Romney writes a letter to the DEA urging them not to reschedule cannabis. So, two politicians using their power and position to show they won't be swayed by public opinion. Meanwhile, that public opinion is on the latest Pew Research poll, now showing close to 88% of adults over 21 in the U.S. want cannabis legalized. And Amazon gets ripped for offering CBD and THC products on its platform, violating their own rules, and then those products are exposed to have barely a trace of either of those cannabinoids in them. And it's opening day for legal weed in Germany. Adults over the age of 18 can enjoy the plant legally now. And former governor of Minnesota and pro wrestler Jesse "The Body" Ventura enters the legal edibles market in his state as they prepare their new regulations in the land of 10,000 lakes. All that and coast to coast cannabis news coverage on We Talk News next.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of We Talk News, Pro Cannabis Media's weekly news show for the cannabis industry. I'm Jimmy Young in Massachusetts.
And I'm Karen Black in Arizona. Elena Pinto is off this week. We start our coast-to-coast cannabis coverage with some disappointing news. Virginia Governor Greg Youngkin vetoed a cannabis legalization initiative his legislature handed him this week. Joe Parsons is our man in Virginia with reaction from that state.
I'm Joe Parsons from the Virginia Cannabis Connection with the Virginia Cannabis Report on We Talk News. You know, back in 2021, then Governor Ralph Northam signed a bill to legalize responsible use of cannabis by Virginians, and the state became the first one in the South to do so. Now, all that law really did, though, was allow residents to grow up to 4 plants and possess under an ounce without being arrested. Opening up a vibrant adult use sales market has been contentious in state legislatures since then. And 2024 was the target year for the market to open, until this week. This past week, Governor Glenn Youngkin vetoed the bill that the legislature worked hard to create, including guidelines and regulations for sales and many social reforms, including resentencing relief for those who have been convicted for nonviolent cannabis crimes. Earlier in the week, Youngkin prepared the public for disappointment about whether he would sign the bill, veto the bill, or allow it to pass without his signature. He said to a reporter, "Anyone who thinks I'm going to sign that legislation must be smoking something." Not a good sign the governor would deliver a legal adult use market to Virginia. He did not. And in his veto message, he cited his interpretation of the facts that legalization leads to the destruction of people's health and safety, increased violent crime, and deterioration in mental health. He then knocked the expected tax revenue and tied road safety and cost of enforcement that offset any benefits for further acceptance of legalization. Finally, in his 4-page veto, he left Virginians with no help for the future consideration, as he wrote, quote, "Attempting to rectify the error of decriminalizing marijuana by establishing a safe and regulated marketplace is an unachievable goal," end quote. The fallout from this action has enraged both the senators that worked together crafting these bills. Many civil rights groups who supported it, including myself, have all vowed to keep pushing for reform and to never give up, no matter how long it takes. Did you know that Virginia is the only state in America whereas a governor can't run for office consecutively? So time will heal all wounds. But I doubt the voters who helped elect him in 2022 will ever forget how the political leader of this state ignored the will of his constituents and his Congress. That's all for this week's Virginia Cannabis Report. I'm Joe Parsons with the Virginia Cannabis Connection, reporting for We Talk News. Until next time, stay lifted.
The Pew Research Group is reporting this week that a whopping 88% of Americans over 21 want to see cannabis legalized for either medicinal or recreational sale. The amazing thing about the result of this poll is that favorable responses cut across political party lines and age groups. Now, if you want to break down those results, 57% want cannabis legalized for both medicinal and recreational, while 31% believe that it should only be legal for medicinal patients. Now, if you add those two figures up, you get that whopping 88% total. And now they're all calling for legalization one way or another. So do you think Washington, D.C. might notice those numbers and move on to do some kind of reform? Andrew Berenger tells us that a group of Republican senators sent a letter to the DEA asking them not to take the plant off Schedule 1. Andrew?
I am Andrew Berenger, and this is the D.C. area report for We Talk News. 2024 is a presidential election year, and the cannabis industry is at the center of it all. A new Pew Research Center survey shows that a majority of Americans support legalizing cannabis in one shape or another. In total, around 88% of Americans say cannabis should be legal for either medical or adult use. If we break it down even further, 57% believe that cannabis should be fully legal for both medical and adult use, while another 32% say it should be legal, but only for medical purposes. That leaves just 11% wanting to keep cannabis completely illegal. When it comes to cannabis and politics, there's a partisan divide that may continue to have impacts for legalizing cannabis. Most Democrats, around 64%, say legalizing adult use cannabis would be good for local economies, while only 41% of Republicans agree with this statement. 58% of Democrats also believe adult use legalization would make the criminal justice system more fair compared to just 27% of Republicans. Republicans tend to see more negatives. Around 48% say legalizing adult use cannabis would make communities less safe, and 42% think it would increase the use of adult or heavy use drugs like heroin. A majority of 71% of adults under 30 say adult use cannabis boosts local economies, and 59% it improves the justice system. So while most Americans support some form of legal cannabis, there are clear partisan and generational splits over the potential societal impacts of full legalization for adult use in the United States. Tune in next week for more answers to these questions and more. I'm Andrew Berenger, and this is the DC Area Report for We Talk News.
Colorado was one of the first two states to legalize adult use of cannabis 10 years ago. Recently, sales have slumped in the Centennial State. Since 2014, Colorado limited growers to using genetics and seeds from that state only. Now, however, they will be able to go to any licensed provider for seeds and clones. Plus, for the first time, the medical and recreational markets can exchange seeds. Until now, the medical market had also been limited to in-state genetics. Colorado is hoping that now with the variety of strains expanding, the market can recover and grow. Someone who knows all about cultivars and genetics is our California correspondent, Levana Vassau. Here's her California Cannabis Report.
I'm Levana Vassau with the Baysesh reporting for PCM with this week's California Report for We Talk News. 420 is coming up, so the rest of the month in the industry focuses on marketing and events around the Stoner holiday. Less than a month till 420, and the promoters of San Francisco's Hippie Hill Festival in Golden Gate Park announced that they are canceling the event this year due to lack of sponsorship in the struggling industry. Also, Berner, the founder of Cookies from San Francisco, who hosted the event since 2017, announced he will be in New York City for 420 this year. 420 was originally started by the Waldo brothers, a couple of San Rafael High School students who met after class to go search for a guerrilla grow on Mount Tamalpais in Marin County, the North Bay of San Francisco. This tradition turned into an annual smoke sesh in Golden Gate Park and is now celebrated around the world. Last year, Hippie Hill drew 20,000 people to the park and was highlighted by Mike Tyson punching someone on the plane on the way home, if you remember. The event may have gotten too hypey for just the park, but have no fear, SF Weed Week is here. 2024 will mark the first official SF Weed Week, and it will consist of 7 days of events leading up to 420, which falls on a Saturday this year. And trust me, SF doesn't need the official Hippie Hill event to have an epic 420. It comes very naturally to the city by the bay, and there are sure to be tons of events going on all weekend around Weed Week, all around California. As for San Francisco and SF Weed Week, it's sure to be a blast with tons of events going on all around the city, including some legal lounges, which San Francisco is one of the few cities in California that now allows them. According to their website, sfweedweek.com, they will have 7 growers, 7 strains, 7 lounges, and 7 nights. I'm Lavana Vassaw from the Bay Sesh, reporting for PCM with this week's California Report for Weed Talk News.
Testing accuracy continues to cause issues in the industry from coast to coast. Embellishing THC percentage and the use of Delta 8 sets up false results being reported and distributed at dispensaries. That brings us to Amazon. The huge online marketplace has been selling CBD products and hemp-derived THC products. Both are against their own guidelines, but a sample from those products bought on Amazon and tested showed that a whopping 89% of hemp products do not have accurate reporting of the cannabinoid percentages. Some had none at all. Some had one gummy product with a whopping 76 milligrams of THC derived from Delta 8 in it. Once again, the legal market is losing its credibility in some states, but not in Missouri, where Brandon Jones is proud to be part of a new, vibrant, growing market. Brandon?
Hey everybody, it's Brandon Jones with B Green Distribution with the Missouri Cannabis Report for Weed Talk News. And yes, we did have a little bit of a deal with the micro licenses that we've been discussing. We actually had 9 of them that were revoked. So 9 of the social equity or micro licenses have been revoked within the last 2 weeks. So they are giving an appeal period. I know a couple of them were from out of state that they found were one of the main reasons that they were taking back or revoking these licenses. Another was because there was a felony from an out-of-state thing that happened. So I don't know why that would be something that excludes someone, but they're trying to figure out, those, and they're turning back to the appeals because this is the month where you can turn in the second round. So we're trying to make sure that the first round of micro licenses are taken care of. And again, that's a second ecosphere of the cannabis ecosystem here in Missouri, where we have our licensed facilities, and we're going to have another micro license that is given to social equity brands here in Missouri too. So you'll have 2 different sets of dispensaries you can go purchase your products from, and they will be manufactured in completely different ecospheres as well too. Another thing, as we've seen how much sales are jumping right here, we've noticed that now advertising is branching out of Missouri. We saw some were just a little bit of ways, but now we've seen up to 90 miles away in Iowa, there is a billboard saying, hey, 90 miles that way, and you can get cannabis legally if you're an adult. So we're seeing people, like I talked about, coming in from all the different states around us to come in and get cannabis grown here in the state of Missouri because it is quality. We have some great producers here, and we're seeing some great sales. So yes, we are at the Show Me State here in Missouri. So that's a Missouri report. For Weed Talk News, again, I'm Brandon Jones with B Green Distribution. Stay educated and medicated. Have a great week, everybody.
What if we're right? What if all of a sudden they discovered that there is medical use for marijuana and that it is good for you and it's better than alcohol and it's better than opioids and it helps your health? What if we're right? What if they find that out?
Specific cannabinoids have medical value. These are facts.
I'm here today in hopes to assist in removing the demonized stigma of cannabis and the perception that cannabis is just about getting high. The true base of this plant has to be known.
I don't think anybody should ever go to jail for cannabis. Get some medicine, and everybody should have access to it.
This is something which, at the very, very least, is the key to alleviating suffering and extending life for millions of human beings. Right? For returning some kind of balance to our society, and quite possibly of restoring our planet's natural balance as well.